we know in Serbia they've had black sites, the secret ghost sites with the kidnap, snatch and grab people.
Absolutely.
We know that they're in Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan. We know they're in Egypt. We know they're in Germany. We know they're in Poland. We know they're in the Czech Republic. We also know that they are in other areas. And so this fits the classic MO where they use these private ghost contractors to run this.
Well, and I think that's the thing that people got to do. By the way, Alex, the whole world, when it comes to someone admitting that a surreptitious plan is underway, goes into the I know nothing mode, okay? What's the best way to get off the hook? You just play dumb. I'm sure the caller who called that person...
I know nothing.
They know nothing. And the answer is, many times, due to their compartmentalization...
I know nothing. The video was pulled. It is up now. We have it. Now, of course, they're going to run psyops. They're going to say there's no world government, no plan to get rid of the dollar, as they have open meetings and announce they're doing it. They're going to announce there's no plan to indoctrinate their kids as they begin changing Christian hymns to worship Obama. They're going to say there's no gun bills when they've got more than 15 introduced I've seen that openly ban the Second Amendment. If the Attorney General wants to ban everything he can, it just gives him dictatorial power. They say there's no death panels. Then they have Newsweek saying death panels, the case for killing Granny. Headline. They deny, so you'll debate whether it exists or not, so you can never mobilize. So this is just some of what we're dealing with here. We're going to play this clip in just a moment and go back to Joyce, Scott, Jeremy, Danny. Joyce hung up in Montana. Joyce, call back. I wanted to go to you. 1-800-259-9231. Keep a line open for Joyce if we can. 1-800-259-9231. Here is the video clip right now, ladies and gentlemen, from them admitting they don't know why there's mercs. They're saying they're police. And video of it. They don't know what's going on with the camp. They don't know who's going to be held in it. It's a giant facility. And then we have an earlier newscast where the town wanted it to be a FEMA camp to hold political dissidents. We just played that earlier. And my gut told me that this was the town I'd heard about a few months ago. We just confirmed it. Steve Quayle, let's play it before it goes dead again. Here's the video.
Well, members of the American Police Force showed up in Hardin yesterday, driving vehicles with Hardin Police written on them. As Color 8's Nick Law reports, it created quite a stir, especially because Hardin doesn't have a city police department.
This was the talk of the town in Hardin on Thursday. Mercedes decked out in the City of Hardin Police Department decals and driven by American Police Force members. Two Rivers Authority officials say having APF patrol the streets was never part of their agenda.
You know, I have no idea. I really don't, because that's not anything that's been in the discussions that I've had with any of them.
As it stands now, the Bighorn County Sheriff's Department is contracted to patrol the city, and APF has no jurisdiction. If that was changed, Peterson claims it would have to go through the city council. As for the jail contract with APF, both sides are yet to agree on a deal, as bondholders rejected it again on Thursday morning.
No, it's a complicated issue. There's a lot of tax laws that they're working through, and we're just hoping now. We thought we were going to get it by Tuesday night. We're hoping now we can get it by Friday night.
And Two Rivers Authority officials say the contract only deals with the detention facility and the training center. There's no mention of a homeless shelter, animal shelter, or any other services for the area.
Well, you know, that was never in the contract to begin with. I think it was just kind of on a wish list of what Captain Michael wanted to do here.
American Police Force officials plan on staying in the Hardin area for the next month.
And that was Color 8's Nick Law reporting. The exact details of the contract talks between Two Rivers Authority and American Police Force remain under wraps.
So you buy a bunch of black SUVs, bring in foreign mercs, admittedly run by foreigners, and your authorities drive a black car, wear a black uniform, got a German Shepherd and a machine gun. You are now an authority, Steve Quayle.
Well, I think the thing that people have got to understand and has really got to sink in is that we are under occupation. Look, we watched it happen in Nazi Germany. By the way, what's happening in the best illustration is pre-World War II Norway, how the Nazis moved into Norway, moved into Sweden, moved into, obviously, Scandinavia, and assimilated into the community. How long, Alex, have you and I been reporting on all the anomalies that people are seeing? And now it's here, ladies and gentlemen, because, again, and Alex, there are 400,000 foreign troops in the United States. People used to give us crap all the time about it, and they did. They gave me crap until it just it just flowed. The bottom line is, and then Northcom comes out and says they want permission from Congress to strategically place 400,000, quote, peacekeepers in the U.S. Where do those peacekeepers come from? Well, guess what? The United Nations. And isn't it incredible that the CDC, and we got to bring this in, the Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization no longer report H1N1 deaths because there's not enough of them. So how can you have a pandemic when there's no deaths to warrant the level 6? This is all manipulated. It's all absolute programming, and it's all designed to put us under martial law. And by the way, the Hardin facility isn't for Gitmo. It's for people who are resistors. And
let me stop you right there. They admit that in the Homeland Security reports we broke and the Mayak reports. Is Steve still there? Steve, finishing what you said, you talked to the county sheriff's department. Steve, by the way, has given us dozens of good reports, and more than that over the years. So we can count on what Steve tells us. We've had Steve on it several times, not Steve Quayle, but the other Steve as a guest, about bizarre stuff going on at universities in East Texas and all these flu drills before this even happened, practicing quarantining with Army at different universities. Steve, you talked to her, and she just said none of this is going on, but you said, well, I've seen the newscast with that on the mercenary vehicles, and she said, well, that's been taken off. So first she denies it, but as soon as she knows that you know facts, she goes, well, that's no big deal. I mean, that is really frightening when the sheriff's department is engaged in deception.
And I also want to mention I had an interesting discussion with a woman with City Hall tied in with the City Council. I wanted to point out, first of all, Alex, the guy that's on that newscast, he's not the mayor. His name's Al Peterson. He's with this Two Rivers Authority. And if you notice, he used the name Captain Michael. They said they had a contract. Well, first of all, with the sheriff's department, the woman, by her response, this is fake. And then when I told her what I knew, I mean, she didn't know what to say, but when she said it's taken off the vehicles, in other words, in her mind, that makes it all okay. And, to summarize all that, I just told her, no, what needs to be removed is these people from your town. And when I talked to the City Hall woman, I just let her know, look, you need to let these people with the City Council know they're there to uphold the laws of your community and to protect the locals. It's local municipalities. And she said,
listen,
and I asked her, who's...
Go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
I asked her, who's the Two Rivers Authority? Well, they're here for they're set up for economic development.
So let's be clear. It's just like LCRA here in Central Texas has SWAT teams, armored vehicles, private jails. It's a quasi-private group. They take over towns. So that guy acting on the news like he's the mayor of Two Rivers, this is just the head of this authority that's done a contract with the American police force that isn't even American, who's now driving around just announcing themselves as an incorporation over the city. This is a total takeover. Good job, Steve.
Yeah. I'd like to say one more thing.
I got to go to other callers, or I'm not going to be able to get to others. Steve, can we keep you to the bottom of the hour another 5 minutes?
Sure.
Okay, because I want to be able to take calls and get their info. Let's continue here. Let's talk to Scott in Nebraska. You're on the air. Go ahead.
It's the work ethic camp. I'm in Nebraska. It's a little town on the western edge of Nebraska, right next to Wyoming, Colorado, called McCook. Just Google work ethic camp, Nebraska. It's disguised as a drug rehab prison, but this is a FEMA camp if I've ever seen one. This is a concentration camp. Can you see any of that yet?
No, but I'm aware of how they camouflage these. Notice I said this was really a camp for Camp X-ray prisoners, and then we found mainstream news out of Billings saying that. Now, I'm not bragging about my mind. When you study this stuff 15, 16, 18 hours a day, you start understanding the patterns, and then you know what you're seeing immediately, no matter what they say. But in this case, they're admitting it all. Steve Quayle.
Well, I think the bottom line is that whatever they do, they always do in plain sight. And remember, redefining terms is a Hegelian dialectic, and we watched that in Hitler, and, you and I started screaming when they started talking about Homeland Security. By the way, wasn't it just last week that Homeland Security supposedly had done penance for their identifying all of the terrorists, and now they're back up in full force again, and guess who's on the list?